guys, we're back here on the Hunter Call of the Wild, and today we're going to be going through the patch notes and looking at all of the changes that have come with this update so you know what's going on with the game. Now guys, let me know in the comments what your best trophy from Sundarpatan has been so far. Okay, under new features, improvements, and updates, here we go. 2 free Nepal-inspired cosmetic items, Sundarpatan Rhododendron paint and Sundarpatan flower camo. We've added remastered models of water buffalo and black bucks to the game, and they look beautiful, guys. So much better. Black buck also received a few new fur variations, beige for males, piebald, and albino, and had their populations reset, and that'll be for here in Sundarpatan and in Parque Fernando. The populations of Mexican bobcats in Rancho del Arroyo and bobcats in New England mountains have been reset to resolve a bug. Populations have been reset for black bears, brown bears, and grizzly bears in Layton Lakes District, Medved, SRP, Yukon, Mississippi, Revontuli, and New England. This change will bring all bears to the new drink time, which is 4 to 8. So no more nighttime drinking for bears, and that is amazing. We've significantly improved the gameplay experience while using the Tobii, I'm not sure how you say that, my apologies if that is wrong, eye tracking peripheral. Dogs can now be heard barking at predators, and that's a very good thing because we need them to warn us of aggressive tigers. Very helpful. Now under bug fixes, gameplay. We fixed an issue causing nearby animals to be invisible and leave tracks if the player fast traveled too close to them. So basically now with this update, when you fast travel to a tent and you walk out, animals would not render in. But since this update, they will be there looking at you for about 2 seconds and then they're gonna run. The boomstick perk will now provide a more realistic shot spread pattern from side-by-side shotguns when both barrels are fired together. Building a hunting structure while your ATV is parked on it will no longer cause the ATV to explode. ATVs that have been destroyed won't magically repair themselves anymore when a player runs off and returns. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, under equipment, we fixed an accuracy issue with the 7mm Magnum rifle when 0 to 150. Yay! That is amazing because the 7mm was way off. We've addressed a glitch that caused the Grellic drilling rifle's secondary ammo to unload when players change the primary ammo through the weapon wheel. True Vision Tritium sights model R65 has been reduced to 0 to align with the adjustments that were made to the other tritium sights. We fixed an issue where the PRC could be incorrectly deployed in certain shallow water areas. Players can no longer place green-winged teal decoys on reserves that don't have green-winged teal. Well, we really don't need them there anyway. If auto run is enabled, players will now stop moving once they enter a tripod. That is sweet because I remember if you fast traveled on auto run into a tripod, your breath would not calm down. You had to get out and get back in just in order to line up a shot. So sounds like that has been fixed. We've fixed a clipping issue with binoculars that was visible while crawling. We've addressed some visual issues with the night vision binoculars. We've resolved an animation glitch on the 22 pistol that happened during rapid firing. We fixed animation issues during transitions on the 1897 shotgun. An SFX issue when swapping ammo with any of the Devaney handguns was fixed. We fixed a visual bug that occasionally occurred when using the Red Raptor sight on the Strandberg 10-gauge shotgun. We've addressed a visual issue that occurred when leaving aim mode after firing a revolver while manual chambering was on. Dogs. Dogs will now bark in the direction of incoming threats when warning the player rather than barking at the player. Well, that is awesome. So whatever direction your dog is barking at, that is where you want to be looking for that aggressive tiger or whatever it is that's coming after you. We fixed an issue where animals would occasionally stop floating back to the shore if the dog failed to retrieve them. Dogs will no longer be prevented from walking around outposts in New England. Under animals, we fixed an issue that caused animals to frequently teleport back to land when touching water. So all that glitching around the edge, that has been fixed, and that is amazing. That's one of the biggest fixes for me. Foxes and other similar animals will no longer get a weird speed boost while fleeing. Well, that's a good thing because sometimes I would be like, what is happening? You see an animal and then it zings across the screen in like teleporting speed. It was insane. So that has been fixed. Feline predators will adopt a more stealthy approach and stop making so much noise. Moose and and capercaillie should no longer instigate fights with other animals. Really? Kangaroos, alligators, and crocs should be smarter about who they are attacking when multiple players are nearby. We fixed an issue that could occasionally cause the hit detection for goats and certain birds in motion to be slightly offset from the animal's visual appearance. Animals should be less likely to run in zigzags. Geese and turkeys should now look more natural when landing on the ground. The ghost jackal in Virhonga Savannah should now approve of its name and be more stealthy. We fixed a bug that caused antlers or horns to act strangely when an animal moved away from the player after being spotted. Animals should be more likely to drink from an actual water source than from the ground nearby. Sweet! Red deer's light brown fur variation is no longer mistakenly marked as gray. Several animals have had their models reviewed and various issues with their model setup, skeletons, organ configuration, animations, and trophies have been fixed, and that is for a variety of animals. Here, I'll put them up on the screen for you. I'm not going to read every single one. Probably take about 5 minutes to read. Player character. We've addressed some issues with the face textures on several of the female player models. The player model will no longer continue performing a walk animation after being knocked out. We fixed a minor animation issue that occurred when jumping without a weapon equipped. We fixed a minor animation issue with crouching. We've resolved an animation glitch that occurred when the player died while reloading a double-barreled shotgun. Now under trophies, the horns of an animal will no longer be slightly out of sync with the rest of the body when changing trophy positions in the lodge. We've addressed several issues with the caribou trophy poses. We've fixed some issues with the trophy poses of the black bear great one. We've resolved a sizing problem with the 2 turkey types multi-mount. We've addressed some visual issues with the raccoon dog trophies when mounted to a plaque. We've corrected the placement of the springboks horns on trophy plaques, and we've resolved an issue with the horn placement of the deer in the fallow deer multi-mount. Now under multiplayer, other players' weapons and scopes in multiplayer will now be more stable when you look at them. We've resolved a bug that caused desynchronization between weapons movements and characters' movements in multiplayer when viewed by a player running at a different frame rate. The game will no longer crash if the player enters or exits a ground blind while another player dismantles it. We fixed a few crashes that could occasionally happen when players lose connection during a multiplayer game. Less crashing in multiplayer would be absolutely delightful. Players should now receive an appropriate error message if they fail to join a multiplayer match because it is no longer available. We've addressed an issue that could cause the game to freeze while leaving a multiplayer session on Xbox after placing a structure. Joining a multiplayer server should no longer cause the game to crash. We've resolved an issue that made the game try to connect to a different server than the one a player chose in the multiplayer menu. Well, that's good because I was joining multiplayer, because whenever I was joining multiplayer, I would pick a map and I would end up on a different one, and that was just frustrating. So that has been fixed. Sweet. We fixed an issue where the multiplayer menu UI would break if the player disconnected from the internet while sitting in the menu. Okay, now under missions, we've addressed a bug that could prevent some players from progressing in the report all sightings mission in Emerald Coast, Australia. We fixed the Flashpoint mission in Yukon Valley, which previously required the player to leave and return to the reserve to proceed. The sauna will no longer remain highlighted after finishing the 360 degrees of sauna mission on Revontuli Coast. We fixed multiple issues with mission items on SRP that would reappear after the player picked them up. The tire swing will no longer disappear in Mississippi Acres. The mission item inspection screen should now work as intended. Using the scroll wheel only will zoom instead of zooming and scrolling the text field simultaneously. We fixed an issue that could result in the camera angle being unlocked during reserve intro videos. World. A terrain gap in Silver Ridge Peaks got fixed so players can no longer see what is below the map. Sweet. We've addressed several issues with roads in SRP. An incomplete bridge in Emerald Coast, Australia has had its construction finished. We've fixed multiple terrain and object placement issues in different parts of Emerald Coast. A hole in the map in Quattro Colinas got patched up. Wind turbine blades will no longer be popping in on Hirschfelden. We fixed an issue with a crate placement on Medved Taiga. Players will no longer be able to interact with various lookout towers through their floor outdoors. Some of the rocks in New England Mountains and Emerald Coast have gotten a new, better look. We've improved the road system in several reserves, making numerous adjustments for better placement and consistency of roads. Customization. We've updated the thumbnail image in the weapon customization for the silver pink material given during Valentine's cosmetic event to display the correct metallic image. We fixed a bug that made the carry bag instead of the actual tent appear in the customization menu for some tents. We've eliminated an unnecessary additional keybind that could open the customization menu. We've resolved an issue that sometimes caused an infinite loading screen when attempting to access the customization menu. We fixed an issue that occurred when the apply button was pressed with a controller while on the previous screen. Under UI, the ammo counter should now work correctly if the player fires all of their arrows and then recovers some of them. The text showing the remaining ammo in the weapon wheel will now stay properly aligned even when changing ammo. We've resolved a problem where the fourth item was always selected when opening the weapon wheel. We've addressed an issue affecting the selectability of tabs in the DLC store for several languages. Now the tabs can be accurately selected. When using a controller to attach or detach a weapon sight, the correct description will now display. Now, when purchasing multiple missing items from your inventory, the pop-up will accurately detail the correct missing item. We fixed an issue where buying a missing item from inventory by way of the cache wouldn't correctly update the inventory. The pause menu should no longer accidentally be reopened while returning to the main menu. The menu ribbon will no longer persist in the main menu after leaving the settings. We've resolved an issue where the missing item from loadout notification wouldn't show up if several items were missing. We fixed an issue that caused need zones to remain visible on the map for animal groups that were no longer alive until the player exited and re-entered the reserve. Pressing Y while the missing item pop-up is on screen will no longer open the virtual keyboard. We've added a notification when a player tries to accept an Apex Connect friend request and it fails due to a connection issue. An issue on the item inspection screen that caused certain items to shake oddly got fixed. We fixed an issue where Windows Store players were not notified if they signed out of their profiles in the Xbox app while the game was running. We've resolved a problem on the harvest screen where the body parts hit list would become very small when many parts were hit. Now the list will scroll properly instead of scaling, and that is a really good change. Very happy to see that. We fixed a format issue in the privacy policy, and we are almost at the end. System. We've improved the overall stability, particularly on systems with limited memory, by addressing some memory handling issues. We fixed an issue that could cause the game to crash after switching profiles on Xbox. If the game can't save data to the documents folder, it will now show an improved error message indicating a boot error with the current save directory instead of crashing after launch. Users who receive this error should check the location and access to the documents folder in Windows. Those are all the changes that came with this update. And if you did enjoy the video, guys, splat that like button. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm gonna recommend that you watch this video next.